because you were studying. So we're talking about why, right? The why that would stay you up every single day to work and develop on yourself. So this concept I was talking about, Papa, how he always spoke of the either the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. The pain of regret or the pain of discipline. And I just flipped and said fulfillment or regret. Because in this life, there's really going to be one result at the end of the day. On the last day, or on your deathbed, let me put it that way. The only thing streaming through your mind will be either fulfillment or regret. That's it. It's either you're going to be surrounded with people that you've influenced over the course of your lifetime, and then they are there, they are wishing you well, they are telling testimonies over, and you too. Either that, or you're wondering, oh my gosh, what please let's put everything. Please mute your mic, thank you. Or if there's an admin, you to mute people for now. All right, let's just dread of not living up to the potential you had set for yourself. The regret of knowing that, oh, I could have done this, and this with my life, but I just let it slide. I just wallowed my time. I just went with the flow. I just allow friends to influence me. It just became you just became normal. You lived a normal life, which for you, coming from your background, coming from the fact that you've tasted Covenant University, coming from the fact that your parents put in a lot, you cannot live a normal life. You cannot just wake up, go to school, graduate, get a job, marry, have 3 kids, and die. That cannot be you. It's not possible for that to be you. And you notice another thing about these men who lived fulfilling lives. These men who live fulfilling life, they always moved with zeal. Zeal. If you look at any industry at all, look at those who led or are leading that industry at the moment. All of them are leading with zeal. No, you can't lead unpassionately. You can't lead without having your heart in it. If you look at Steve Jobs, if you look at Barack Obama, you look at Papa, you look at Martin Luther King, look at all these people. They led with their hearts first. It was their hearts first, and then their body, their speech, their community, everything followed the heart posture. Everything followed that zeal. Write that down. You can't have what? Zeal. Please write. I'm not begging. But you can't have what? Zeal without purpose. You can't have zeal without purpose. One thing that drives and keeps all these leaders that we look up to, your parents, those that lead in various industries, right? What things that ties them together is that they are all doing it purposefully. Purposefully. Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, all of these men led purposefully. And at the end of the day, they made a name for themselves. That when you mention the name of Papa, like they even have things like the Oyediporian. Oh, I said that thing. Have you seen that in your TMC notes? The Oyediporian definition of this. Anybody? Or so you from their name have been institutionalized to mean something. It was in Antioch that they said that they were called Christians. These people were Christ-like. They were hanging on to a name that Jesus Christ had made for himself, such that he had disciples in their hundreds, in first the 12, the 70, the 3,000. They kept on multiplying, and we all noticed that these people were acting in a similar manner according to the leader that came forth. So it was first the zeal of the leader, which became a legacy name, and that name was passed on for generations. So my question is, when your name is mentioned in a room, what comes to mind? Is it just crickets? Like, can we attach your name to something of worth? Is it just games? Or okay, is it an AI student? Or oh, you went for IT. When they mention your name in your IT, are they oh it's just that guy that is present? Or what comes to mind when they mention your name? In fact, I need you to type just a quick activity. Type the name of somebody who has been influential to you. And this is the rule. You must not repeat what somebody else has said. Just type that in the group chat. Type that in the group chat. Then let me see if I can recognize some of them. Just quickly. A quick activity. Just type the name of someone who has been influential to you in anything at all. It could have in sports, in finances, in your academics. It doesn't have to be someone that's so popular. Dr. Hot. Thank you for that, Erica Mofa. Thank you so much. He said Dr. Azu. When you hear Dr. Azu, what comes to mind? Like mathematics. Dr. Ada, hey, you guys are mentioning my people. Dr. Ada, hey, God. When she speaks with so much clarity, and it's like as if every word she says is ice block upon ice block upon ice block. There was even one time, you can confirm this with Mr. Mao. It was at the end of our DLD class, right? This is for Dr. Ada. Dr. Ada was about to wrap up her class and she was speaking, and I was just like this. All that was in my mind was, hey God, how did someone learn to speak? I was just like, hey. And at the end of the class, this was my question. I came out to the front of the class. It was like 2 minutes to the end. Everybody was rushing, quick question and answer session. And I asked her, Ma, how did you learn to speak so articulately? I was saying it's where do we even start from? Right? That's how much I love Dr. Ada. She actually lectures abroad as well. Right? So she answered the question like it's impossible for me to consolidate all that I've learned in terms of my speaking. But she just said something like practice makes perfect and then we moved on from there. But see, exactly. Harvard do. So people like Dr. Ada, people like Dr. Azu, sorry, you notice something that these people are speaking people. You cannot have that name, emphasize that zeal without speaking. It's impossible for you to do that. The reason why those names come to the top of your mind is because of how they spoke, how they made you feel, how they stirred your life. This is what your name should be too. So when you hear Dr. Ada, when you hear Dr. Azu, I need you to write down your name somewhere. Write down your name in your book. We're running short of time. Just write down your name in your book. Because from the name should come influence. With the name should come influence. If the name doesn't come with influence, it's not heavy enough. So the goal of me speaking to you, the goal of even learning how to speak eloquently in front of people, all of that, is so you can reach this end goal called influence. The fulfilling life is the life lived for others, is the life that can live beyond you. Imagine Jesus Christ came and then he healed the sick, he raised the dead, but he didn't have any disciples. He just died, blood flowed, beating, smitten, spat on Paul, and left the earth. The people to carry on his legacy are not there. So always have this at the back of your mind that you are driving with zeal, you are building your name, and you will eventually gain influence, like those that you've mentioned in the charts and those you look up to. Okay, so that's the introduction. All right. So next, what I just explained to us is a concept I actually got from Simon Sinek. It's called the Golden Circle, where it explains the why, how, and then before what. So we just touched on why we should speak, why your voice needs to be heard. Now I'm going to go gradually into the how and the what, and trust God that in the next 30 minutes to 30 to 40 minutes, we'll go through everything we need to cover, and then we'll also have time for questions. And the question of an answer session is going to be elaborate because I know most of us have questions here, and then it will give us interaction time as well. Okay, so now let me go back a bit. Remember what I said about influence? Influential people have a particular way of speaking. They have a way of carrying you along, and they usually vary a few things in their conversation. Or rather, I said conversation in their speaking. So let me just go there. All right. How great speakers speak. First thing they do is they vary their rates of speech. They vary their rate of speech. That is the velocity. They are not speaking too fast, nor are they speaking too slow. Or they don't also have a monotone voice that gets you weird at the end of the day. Like, what's this guy saying? Like, if you don't vary your voice, if you don't have that slur when you're making something important and very fast speech when you want to get straight to the point and show that you're passionate, if you don't vary velocity, your speech will be boring. So that's the first thing we're looking at. We're looking at velocity, and then I just have a way of, so you can just do your fingers like this. So it's like faster, slower, faster, slower. This is what I call velocity. All right. So the next thing is volume. After varying velocity, you should be looking at your volume. Most people, like I saw in the questions when they form the questionnaire, English. English, I said questionnaire village. In the form, right? I saw someone mention that, okay, how do I speak louder? I tend to speak quietly, and the quiet, I'm already used to it. That's how we speak in our family, this like that. And the truth is, you have a very valid point. Most people are influenced. In fact, all of us are influenced from environment. For me, for instance, I was my parents are lawyers, so we're Yoruba, but I'm like English Yoruba, if you get. So everything that, like, my roots joy in speaking came from them. Let me put it that way, and some other things. But let's not dwell on that. So your volume is important because volume shows what? It shows you believe in what you are saying. Are you with me? Oh gosh. Volume shows what? You believe in what you're saying. Cool. All right. Volume shows that you believe in what you're saying. Without volume, imagine I'm just speaking like, my name is Joseph Popola, and today I came to convince you and not to confuse you that all these things, can you hear my whispers? Like that, Philip, that I went to IT and I did. All that you are saying is falling on deaf ears. What they are just looking at, let's see if we can grade them based on the slides, right? Let's just look at least if you cannot hear what they're saying, we can see something in their slides. So you can't be too quiet. It shows that, oh, you're not sure. But, and also you can't be too loud. If you're loud, you are like one proud guy. I just want to just overshadow everybody. But that's really the case. Most people are quiet. So you should be looking at a volume on a scale of 1 to 10. You should look at the volume of like 7. 7 is confident. And the volume is essential. I'm talking about both in defense context as well as outside in general speaking. Sometimes you're meant to go quiet. I mean, I was at the cafeteria at work, EcoBank, and then I was speaking to some ladies. I'm not with this man, but let's leave that. I was speaking to some ladies, and usually I would go with the confident approach. I would sit up, sometimes cross my leg, and then I'm like this. My voice is bellowing, and then you can hear what I'm saying from like 3 or 4 tables around. And we were talking about how salary cuts in the bank, things were not really nice for some particular staff and everything. And I wanted to give an example of a contract worker that was being paid way less than it should be. And I said something like, there's one guy in my department. I was like, shh, no, like, shh. And each time I wanted to speak, they were shh, oh my, I didn't know how to gossip. It was just bad. So, in order for me to gossip properly, I had to now be like this, and start whispering. So that's it. So volume, it depends on the context, depends on the situation to vary volume. The next thing you want to vary is your pitch variety. Pitch variety. And what does this mean? Think of it like volume is like this, velocity is like this. Then think of pitch like a sinusoidal wave. Sinusoidal wave. That's what pitch is. So sometimes you can pitch your voice like Papa does. Hey, bad impression. I usually don't do this, right? You can either do that, or you can make a baritone voice, like on Vusi Thumbagwayo. And who's heard of my podcast lately? Sharing life issues with Vusi. No, it doesn't have that. But then Vusi Thumbagwayo has this generally deep voice. And it is, hey God. You remember what I talked about influence? See, the best way to learn public speaking, let me tell you the gist, because it's not on this slide. The best way is to be influenced by people that can speak. I'm telling you, it's just write that down somewhere asterically. This is a long-term learning habit. So you pick people like Vusi Thumbagwayo, you pick people like Bulokuna, pick people like Papa. Papa is a beautiful public speaker. He knows how to incorporate stories. He knows how to incorporate humor. All of those things add to the public speaking effect. So the best way to learn, I'll say this again, is through examples. Through examples. So especially when you want to tell a story, you're not meant to tell the story with your voice. You're meant to say, and she said, what are you doing over there? And I was like, well, I'm just chilling. How about you? And she was like, do you get just that, especially in dialogue, you don't give dialogue with your normal voice, you're spoiling the fun. Right? So pitch variety is very, very critical. So the next thing we're looking at is tonality. Tonality is the emotion that lives underneath your voice. Tonality is what, can someone write that down? Tonality is the emotion that lives beneath your voice. Can someone write that down? Just write that down in the chat. Just so we know that you're following. Oh, sorry, I know that you're following. Tonality, I'll say it again, is the emotion that lies beneath your voice. Can someone write that down in the chat? Nobody's following. I'll call names. Waiting. Okay, thank you so much. There are about 8 other people in the call. Hey, I hate this mirror thing. Coming. All right, back to. Okay, so tonality is what the emotion that lives beneath your voice. Just for time's sake, I'll just read it up, right? The tone in which you use shows whether you are happy, whether you are sad. And there are 6 general emotions of human beings. There's disgust, there's happy, there's sad, there's angry, there's surprised, and there's one more. I can't remember the last one. So yeah, so there are about 6 of them. And generally, the way to change your tone, most people go with a flat face expression. And they expect to vary their tone. It's not possible. It's not possible for you to do that, right? Because with a flat face, that means you have a flat voice. A flat face would equate to a flat voice. You can write that down somewhere. Flat face equals flat voice. Happy face equals happy voice. Sad face equals sad voice. Angry face, like, guy, what are you doing now? Equals angry voice. It's literally your face is what unlocks the voice within. You can control how you sound. In fact, your mood by your tonality. I was reading this book. I'm about to finish it though. My goal was to finish it before this class started. It's called Effective Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. And then he made a very important point, very, very important point. And it's the key to basically every passionate speaker's success. And that is believing what you are saying, believing in what you are saying. So let me put it this way: even if you are shy at the moment, you don't know how to walk on stage, you are wondering, okay, what do I do? I'm already here. The crowd is so much. You are going to act literally like you've done this a million times, and this is just a rodeo show. There are two ways to it. You can either be humble enough and say, oh, this and this. That would You can say, oh, I'm looking forward to. You can say, oh, this is my first time speaking this amount of crowd, permit me if I make a few mistakes. You can go that route. There's that route of that way the audience has this sort of not pity, but they understand where you're coming from and they are willing to accept you. That way you're not coming off proud or arrogant. Yes, there's that one. And there's the other side, even with applying humility, right? There's the other part of coming and because you believe in what you're saying, because you came in with so much thunder and gust, because of that, you are entering the stage acting like you're fiery, acting like you're passionate, acting that this topic is to live and to die for. That's what you are going to do. And the best way to do this is actually believing in the topic. I can you can write this down somewhere. Don't talk about what you don't believe. It's either you go, they give you a topic, you're not really interested in it. You go, you build the interest for it, you come back and you deliver a stellar presentation. It's either you do that or you don't speak about it at all. Right? So the tonality is where your passion comes from, is what will drive you to move, is what will drive the audience as well, is what shows them that this person means what they are saying. When you're telling a story, the disgust in their face, it all adds up together. All right. So after tonality, we have finally the pause. The pause, like I've not been doing too much in this session. The pause occurs when you make an important point and you want it to sink in. I have the habit of wanting to rush through, push through, and sometimes I forget this important step, the pause. You just pause and wait. When you make an important point, when you want your audience to follow what you are saying, you must pause intermittently. If you are to introduce someone on stage, for instance, you were given the task to introduce someone, you can't just read, okay, these are the person's qualifications, this is the topic, this is the person's name. No. You start with the topic, you explain the need for that topic, you go step by step, you are building it up, then you begin to introduce the speaker, who other person than this and this with this qualification, and then you're about to say the name and you just pause. Joseph, space, pause again, Poco, and then there's the applause. Right. So you don't just breeze through everything. You don't breeze through everything. In your presentations, don't breeze through. Don't breeze through. Don't breeze through. Hey God, right? Don't breeze through. Because I've seen this thing happen a lot. When I mean a lot, some people will just get there, like they plugged in the slides to their what's it called? The slideshow English. I forgot to know. See you so far. To the board, electric board, right? And then they have the slides up and they just greet lethargically. My name is this and this. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, good afternoon, chairman. My name is this and this is my topic. My topic is the development of Telegram AI chatbots for this, and this. And then this was what we did. We informed the people, we did investigation, and they're just going like this. They don't care whether or not the audience, they don't. they're not really. Let me just finish. So you see them, their mind is not even on the panel. Their mind is on the slide, and the worst one is when they are reading it. Oh God! Oh no 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 no! When you're just reading, and it's a no. It's a turn off for them because them too they're just like okay, he's reading slides. Let's wait for him to learn. They'll now go back to one part of the slide. So we're saying this, you're saying that, right? When you speak off the slides, it shows you know what you're saying. It shows you're interested in them learning. It shows you're passionate about it. So don't speak glued to your slides. Time. Don't speak up glued to your slides. So let's move on. General tip for public speaking. The first here is content. Okay, let me go back. So we looked at velocity, we looked at volume, we looked at pitch variety, we looked at tonality, we looked at the pause. All of these are how. Remember, we're looking at the golden circle. We first looked at why. Now we're looking at how. The last thing we're looking at is the what. Now, the what starts with the content. Your content is the lifeblood of your presentation. If you are not adequately prepared, if you did not do your homework, if you just cooked some things, let's say for your defense, that you didn't do it yourself, and then somebody helped you with the document, all of those things, and you just appeared here, right? And expect expect velocity and volume to save you, and pitch variety or tonality. Oh, it will fail you. But you, oh my God. See, you all of these things will not even come to mind. All you'll be thinking to yourself is, what am I doing in my life? So the first step to efficient public speaking really is the content. Your content has to be verbose, it has to be detailed. It has to show that okay, this person went through this IT training, this person did this defense by built this project by himself, whether it's a software, it's a hardware. It has to show that you did the rigor. It's not just yeah. I don't even know how to sound what is it called, unprepared, because I've seen cases like that. You see people's reports maybe like 80 pages. I make sure your IT report is long, but then you see like 80 pages and they're just, first of all, the teacher will first carry it like this. I don't have an example. We first like once they do like this, just know it's like B down. You should not be looking at B. But once they do this, my advice, so pad your book. Let it show that okay, this person really did work, right? So your content, not just in the manuscript, but also not so much on your slide, but a lot here, because you have to prepare for questions that they will ask you. They will ask you questions based on what you studied. Okay, before I continue, I'm working with the preconception of most of us being engineering students, but can you just say your department on the group? Departments, it can be on the group or it can be in this Google Meet. Just say your department, your department. Okay, yeah, or you can say it in chat. Okay, department, okay, role. Okay, economics, beautiful. More. I just want to know the department you're coming from, so maybe I could speak more specifically to that angle. So Roland from economics department. Toluwani, what department are you in? Divine Agulo, Mascom Toluwani. You sound like Mascom. Precious Indifi, which department are you in? Timidiri Ojo. Hey, I hope I got that well. Covenant note taker. Note Aba. Ha. I have not heard that name before. Well, I'm guessing it's a pseudonym. EIE for June, Olaiton. All right. Good. Computer science. Okay, I've seen it down. Thank you. Okay, so Mascom, we have Mascom, we have EIE, We have economics. All right, the room is full. The room is full. Oh, it's the only orange tag that we don't. Is there any orange tag here? Any orange tag? Any orange tag? Nope. Oh well. You know these guys are. I was about to say they are proud. I'm not. I'm joking. But maybe they don't need. Maybe. I mean, they are already in the. What is it? I'm trying to remember political. Is it political science? International relations, and them get the course. So like, we're just helping. You get. Anyways, so all right, glad to hear where all of you are coming from. Now we've talked about the importance of having your content together. I think let me give a segue, an example of sorry, a public speaking session for me that did not end up well. And then I'll give a background to everything and why content matters a lot. I'll give some tips in between the story on how to prepare adequately as well. I'm trying to look at this camera, but I'm not used to it. Anyways, let's dive in. So this was NYC, right? NYC camp. There was an opportunity for us to debate. Okay, and then the debating, you are going to pair with your partner, you represent your platoon, and there are about 10 platoons in this particular debate. So 10 of us were going to have about 7 minutes. 7 minutes to speak, maybe 4 minutes for your main speaker, 3 minutes for supporting speaker, and things like that. Everything, I mean, 4 5 days before we were being taught what to do. We are presenting the platoon. Don't fail us. Don't do this. Don't do that. That was what the setting was like. So my partner was really good, and she just started. She started with ChatGPT. She just put in the topic. She started drafting her stuff. I was like, hey, this is usually not how I used to do my own, because she drafted everything out, and then she had a script already. Me too, I had scripts, but I wasn't used to cramming my script, right? But she was cramming hers, and she was getting it line for line. So me too, I joined now as per pressure. So I now started cramming my own line for line, line for line. Yeah. Behold, on that day, it was going to be a success. We were the first to speak. They just called us out of the blue. Imagine you are still sitting down, and this just we're calling platoon 10. I'm like, Jesus, it is time. So what I did, I carried, I'll just use this as an example. I carried, okay, yeah. So my idea was to use this prop. I carried an handkerchief. I was looking for I carried an handkerchief and I tied it around me. Right, so I was the second speaking to speak, and she started. Everybody was looking at this guy with the handkerchief. I covered my eyes. I meant business, and then my eyes were closed. The tension in the room was so high because nobody has ever tied their eyes in a debate. Who does that? So as she was speaking, she was rounding up. It was my turn, and then I started. I said, I'm like a blacksmith whose eyes are blinded, who hasn't seen the revolution of the light of AI. Something like that. I pulled off my blindfold, and then I continued saying something like, artificial intelligence isn't a technological advancement in the far off. It's already here. It's near. In fact, it's in the room. Nodes everywhere, nodes. But then, guys, my scripts from that second modeled up. I was like, oh, what do I say next? I was meant to talk on education. I was meant to talk on excellence. I was meant to talk on this. Everything was just. I didn't remember them in blocks. I was trying to remember the particular lines. So as I just did, as I looked like this, hey, I just looked down. There was one person in the audience. She went from this to she was disappointed. It was evident, and I was like, God. Immediately she did that, I just rambled something. Okay, you want to say something? Go, right on. Toluwani, you're saying something. Oh, Toluwani has left the meeting. Okay, so I was like, hey. So one lesson I want you to learn from that is the content should not be crammed. It shouldn't be line for line. Never memorize your speech line for line. Toluwani, you were saying something. Did you want to say something?
Not at all. I was
No.
trying to do something. My hand mistakenly pressed that place.
All
Sorry.
right, all right. Thank you. So your content should never be like I can kneel down. Just have it as bullet points in your head and speak freely from the abundance of knowledge that you have within you. Never memorize. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to use stories to elaborate your point. Stories to elaborate my point. In your slides, don't be like me, have pictures. Right? Like Mr. Mara said in his presentation, your pictures are like 1,000 words. These pictures show that okay, this person at least we can see him in the building, we can see him fixing a mass station, we can see him if you're an economic student, we can see him presenting to the crowd, you can see him doing this and that. So your pictures work, and then even stories of your experiences stories of your experiences. You can talk about how, let's say, in the recommendation and challenges you face, you can talk about how rain beat you when you were going to work one particular day and you fell sick because of that and you couldn't go to work for a few. You can talk about that. You can talk about the time you wanted to give a presentation and you were just shaking because it was in front of the MD and you didn't even know where to start. But at the end of the day, God helped you, things like that. Those are stories that resonate. Those are stories that will point to the fact that this person actually went on IT. Don't do you get so don't just say, oh, I learned about data visualization. Tell us a time when you use data visualization in your work. Tell us an experience. Don't just say, oh, I faced transportation issues. Show us your cars. Show us where the transportation issues are. We can't see any, you get. So your stories bring to life everything you are saying. All right. So I'll give an example of how to say a story. Right. When you're saying a story or giving a presentation, pitch, all of that, you don't give your stories without a catcher, without an opening line that draws them in. See, they're going to be interviewing or conducting defense for about 20, 30 people. Your whole department is going to be done in maybe 3, 5 days. And all everybody's typically going to be saying the same thing. I mean, close to the same thing, right? What differentiates it is how it's said. What differentiates what is how it's said. Let me give an example of what I mean. There are five senses for the human body. There's the touch, smell, there's the ear, there's the I can't remember them. Smell, touch, taste, sight, and what you hear. Yeah, those are the five senses for reception. Those five senses should be elements in your story. So when you're saying your story, you should have what did it smell like? What did it look like? Let's say you were to stand in front of a crowd of 3,000 people. You were looking at 3,000 eyes for the first time. That's what it looked like. What do you smell? The smell of the AC was just choking. I was feeling cold as well. That didn't help the situation at all. What other thing? I could hear murmurs from the audience. I wasn't even sure if they were listening to me at some point. What was the last thing? Taste. Okay, you can leave taste. Right? Anything. But the idea is to involve people in your story, use the five senses because what you say is there, how you say it is what distinguishes you from every other person that is presenting on that day. How you say it is what distinguishes you from every other person that's presenting on that day. So stories matter. Stories matter. Stories matter. And finally, we're looking at public speaking. We must talk about body language. Oh gosh, I wanted to give an example of a story. But it wasn't even a story, it's more of a quote. I have a few. I have a few. I'm really caught for time. But let me give an experience, a positive one, praise God, of um, a public speaking experience that I had. So this is back in school. There's usually this thing that people do, not people, DLD classes, TMC classes. At the end of the session, I don't know. Okay, yeah, then you must have experienced this 100 level, 200 level. They kept on doing the same thing. At the end of the session, they did this thing. Sorry, they did this thing where you would come and present what you learned throughout the session. For TMC and DLD classes, they were my favorite classes to learn from. They were my favorite because Dr. Ada was speaking, Dr. Azu was speaking, Dr. Larry Amadu was speaking, Dr. Osheni. Those were my G's. And they were my favorite because I loved how impactful they were. I loved how down to earth it was. It wasn't just physics and this like that. They were talking about life issues. So DLD TMC, I always looked forward to those classes. And then at the end, I always had this impulsion, right, to sort of give back what I've learned. Okay, what did I learn? I wrote about it, this like that, this like that. So this particular time, this is final year, DLD was ending, the last DLD class ever, and that was the mood. Everywhere was they didn't have a class that day, right? It was just no lecturer came, was just come share what you've learned so far. So as I sat, because I always sit in front, right, looking at the podium, I was like, hey God, here we go again. My hands started sweating, and I was like, God, what do I do? I carried my notes. I scribbled some things down, a particular quote I heard sometimes. I just wrote some things down. And what usually happens for sessions like that, sessions like that, I usually never forget them because the message is etched from within me. Earlier, when I was speaking about the why public speaking, the messages usually come from here. It's like an evangelistic call kind of thing. So I started off, and this is where I'm heading. Listen closely, right? I grabbed no, before I went to to the stage, a friend of mine was beside me. In fact, at that point, I wanted to do everything. My hands was, and she was not asking, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I have a message. I have a message." And I like the girl. I was sweating, right? I was not thinking, how will I embarrass myself like this? Is this how my life will be? Come on, everything because your DLD class would be at least 400 to 500 students, if not more. That kind of thing. But I knew there was a message. I knew there was a reason for me speaking. So standing up, I walked to the podium, not to the podium now, to the lectern, and then grabbed the mic and said, if death was the most fulfilling thing in life, why not choose to die today? Did anybody hear that? Did anybody hear that? If did you hear that? If you heard it, say I or I just have yeah, I love that reaction. Thank you. Who can remember what I just said? Right. So that's the quote I started with. If that was the most fulfilling thing in life, why not choose to die today? They've never heard it before. In fact, I heard it few days ago in church service, and it was just like an inspiration from God. And the message was this: that most people look towards, like I mentioned earlier, on their deathbed. That's when you see the worth of a man. That's when you see legacy or folding for the next generation. That's when you see them giving account of how this person was good, how this person did this, how this person saved my life, how this person was an impact to me. And I said, if death is really the most fulfilling thing in life, why not choose to die today? But that's not the point. The point is, you should live every second of your life with that image in mind. What I'm doing now, this game that I'm playing, is it going to add? or subtract from that image? Is it going to, whatever I'm doing now, is it going to add or subtract from the future I want for myself? Because see, your life, you can actually, you can play it back. You can know what worked for you and what didn't work for you. You can, your life right now, you should be 18 to 24, thereabout. You can go back and say, I wish I didn't do this. Then you can look back and say, I'm grateful that I did. You can pick points, because all we are doing really, we're on this fast track train towards death. And since we're all heading there, whether we like it or not, why not we go there with a sense of honor and dignity, that I live the life worth living, to die the death or die. So that was, in summary, how that presentation went. And again, I didn't prepare for this. It's something I don't want to say minister, but it's something I can talk on for 30. I can go on. Things like digital minimalism, I can go on and on with that. So that's it for stories. So your story should have quotes, your story should be catching, while rushing for time. And then let's just rush down to body language. With body language comes a whole lot of other things to consider. You realize when I'm speaking, I made a mention of, okay, thanks. Coming. Yeah. Okay. Remember when I was speaking, I made mention, I'm not mention, I'm throughout my speaking, I have been doing this. I've been using gestures. Okay, this is far, this is near, this is tight, stone cold, be warm. You get, your body is about 60% of your body language. You can't say you're enthusiastic. I'm happy to be here, and I was just so happy to be here. And the crowd, no, your volume isn't putting it, your body isn't putting it. If you believe in what you're saying, body language won't be an issue for you. You will be vibrating. Hey, there's this man in God's Generals. I'm trying to remember his name. He was the one who led the Quaker Reformation. And it was said that when this man was speaking, his body was vibrating. He would stand on the barrel of wine and begin to preach the name of, and his body would be shaking. Hey, you give it your all. It's like all of you is in this. It starts from the content. It starts from your why. The why is what to push you into it. Your why is what to push you into it. So body language, we can talk more about it in question and answer. But general tips would be, you should keep eye contact. Eye contact shows you are confident. Don't do it too long at one person. At least, thank God for the panelists. There are about 3 of them. So you switch from eye to eye. And if you are not sure, you can look at what they are scripting. Just no, see, learn it. Start with the conversations we're having every day. Look at them in the eye, like I'm looking at this camera. Look at them. Speak your points, especially when you're asking questions. Maybe when you're answering questions, you can look away a bit. But if you're asking a question, look straight on. Yes. And then there's this thing called the power pose. Is your hand is going to be folded at the elbow side, right? And it's your rest position. Just stand a bit. So it's like this. This is how you're going to be. And then you go in, out, like that, right? So you are meant to do everything with meaning. You don't just say, I was running to school. Sometimes this, yeah, is distracting. Especially when but I hardly ever see people who overdo it. But if you're just, and then you've lost them, let them be moved with your voice and led with your body. Say that again. Moved with your voice and led with your body. The voice is like, ooh, it's like the fire. And then your hand is saying, this is how we're going to go. So it's the progression is with your body language. All right. So with that said, another thing I want to know, I've seen people present like this. I don't know why. And usually because they talk like this. It's like used to clenching their teeth together. I don't know where it came from, but it's from influence friends there. Don't clench your teeth. Don't dim your eyes. You're not Papa. Don't dim your eyes. See, don't dim. Right. So those are just the general tips I have with regards to body language. And with that, we've come to the end of this public speaking short boot camp. And this is not the end because we're going to have questions and answers right about now. So if you have any questions, I know I didn't touch a lot on the particular dynamics of public speaking for defense, like question answering and the likes. But if you were to answer a question, I'll just give you a quick framework because I know this question is going to come up. Right, how to answer questions with confidence in your defense. You can use a framework which I learned from Vingen. It's called the 3-2-1 framework. If you are not sure with all the content, with all the story, all the body language, this particular question moves you, or it's something that you have so much to say on it, you don't even know where to start. You can use the 3-2-1 framework, which starts with the one thing, that's one, two types or two ways to that thing, and three is three things about that thing. Okay, so to give an example, let's see, they told me about, okay, someone should give me a random topic and we'll just do this. Someone should ask me a random question and then I'll try and answer it with this framework. A random question. Anybody? Random question. Okay. Message. Okay, good. Right on to the one. So you're asking a question. Ah,
I wanted to ask,
talk to me.
how do you avoid saying all the time during, like, when you're speaking?
Okay, so as all of those. Thank you for the question.